morning, everyone. Welcome to another new episode of the 4D Dentistry Podcast. This is our first podcast for the 2025 for the year, actually. And we have with us with very special guest from Dubai, Dr. Arsalan Sami. Dr. Arsalan is the managing director of Aqua Aligners based in Dubai. And he's here with us to share his insights on scaling up Aqua Aligners, his experience from the industry, and also sharing some leadership insights and business insights for the new labs and businesses that are coming up in globally as well. So I think Dr. Arsalan, welcome to the podcast. And I wanted to give your intro to everyone who's listening.
Yeah, thank you, Nipun, for inviting me for this podcast. I hope this is going to be an interesting discussion as we move forward. I'm Dr. Arsalan Sami, a dentist by my bachelor's degree, but I did only a couple of years of clinical dentistry. Then I just got a spark of moving on to the marketing and sales side of the business. So I switched my careers into I started off with pharmaceutical marketing. So I switched off into pharmaceutical back home in Pakistan, did 2-3 years of pharmaceutical brand marketing, but on the way I did my MBA also. So I did my MBA marketing. Then I got a break in with one of the biggest dental companies in the world, 3M. So I joined 3M in Pakistan as a sales specialist and grew to team leader, national sales manager, and then country business leader for the healthcare group combined. So that's like 8.5 years of career within Pakistan. Then 3M moved me to Dubai as a marketing manager, Middle East Africa for the dental group. So I moved with my family in 2014 to Dubai. Then in 2016, 3M moved me to Saudi Arabia as marketing operations manager, again within the oral care group. So I was looking after the entire oral care range. So we moved to Saudi, picked up the whole family and we moved to Saudi. So we stayed in Saudi for, I think, good 5.5, 6 years, spent the COVID time over the lockdowns. Everything was spent in Saudi Arabia. Then after things opened, then in the meantime, so before that happened, I switched jobs from 3M. I moved to another company, which was a Russian company, and they were into toothpaste and mouthwashes. So again, in the oral care segment, but more on the consumer side of things. So it was more related to retail, consumer, e-commerce, and so I had to build that business in the region. A very nice company, good products, organic, natural products. Worked with them for 3 years, then moved on to another company which was in the aligner space. Now, I always wanted to work in the aligner space in the market. So I've been, there are certain areas where you want to venture into because there are upcoming fields in dentistry. You want to experiment and you want to have the hands-on feel. So luckily, I got a role in Eon Aligners. In fact, they reached out to me through LinkedIn. They approached me. They said there's a position open for sales director, Middle East, North Africa. So after 8 interviews. Yeah, 8 interviews. This position was finalized, and then I joined Eon Aligners as a sales director. Good company. It's a regional brand. It's a Middle Eastern brand coming out of Jordan. They're growing very fast. At that point in time, they received some nice seed fundings, probably Series A. I think they got some good funding, so they went into a hiring spree, and they were building up their team and capacity and expanding across the region. So I worked with them for half a year, almost a year's time. Then I moved on to another company. There was a bit of freelance work in the middle happening. I was taking some time off, and then I landed with Syntrix or Aqualiner, which I am currently heading the operations around as managing director.
Oh, that's great. That's really
This company is based out of Dubai. This is in UAE, Dubai.
brilliant. And I think that's a very nice. And I'll go into your journey specs, and maybe we can break it. So one thing that you mentioned
Sure.
was that when you joined Eon, before that you had an intention to work in clear aligners. Uh, what
Yeah.
was happening over there? And I'm assuming this is kind of during the COVID phase side of things, or was it post COVID when you joined?
Post-COVID.
Post COVID. So
Post-COVID.
what was
Post-COVID.
happening in the like? And I think one of the things, and Arslan, I know you from long time ago as well, and Aqua is our client as well. So again, I have some understanding, but I think a lot of people do not have any understanding of the region. in terms
Hmm.
of, so first of all, when you were thinking of that, what was happening at a global level that you were reading or researching about, and what made you
Hmm.
think about that, yes, aligner could be an industry, because that doesn't come naturally to dentists. It's more like an ortho field, I'm assuming it's still, at that time it was more like only the orthodontists would be doing the aligners.
Hmm.
So what was happening, and what was the regional insight? So I think it's because people would need to know, what's at a global thing, what's happening in terms of
Hmm.
the cultural shifts, and what is happening regionally within the Middle East, or specifically in UAE or Saudi where you were. So can you share
Hmm.
some insights, please? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, see, the biggest brand, Invisalign, was always in the region. I think they started sometime 10, 15, 11 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, I would say. They started off with a small office here with a distributor who was distributing, which was a dentist and a clinic himself, but he became the distributor for Invisalign. So he started doing aligners here. I'm talking about probably 2010, 2011,
And this is
12,
Saudi.
that time
This is
frame.
Saudi Arabia, is it?
I'm talking the region UAE.
UAE, okay.
So it started from UAE. So it started from UAE. So I'm taking you through how the aligner industry built up in this region. So Invisalign started with a small office, and they started pitching up to different dentists, orthodontists, and it was not only holding on to orthodontists, they were going on to GPs as well. But at that time, I think that was the only company, nobody else was there. But with the passage of time, this Eon aligners, Eon started in 2013 from Jordan, but they started expanding into the region. They built up distributors here and there, and they were working on it. So then, I mean, it was a very slow moving product. It was not something very wow. It was wow in terms of looking at it, but operationally executing it from a company's perspective and from a dentist perspective, accepting it and executing it in his clinic, it was still a bit of a challenge, a bit of a task. But years passed by, Invisalign keep on doing it. Then Invisalign opened a big office here in Middle East as a regional office with a big team, and then they started their operations full fledged, bang on into the market. Marketing, sales, clinical support, everything was there. Now with this came in a lot of Eon was also expanding at that time. So Eon, I would clearly say, is number two after Invisalign in the region. I'm not with Eon, but I'm still telling about Eon's Eon's work, because they worked hard on that. But at the same time, many local brands started to come up. Local meaning UE, home based, homegrown brands. Because I think 3D printing became easier. 3D printers became more accessible, cheaper in the market. Many companies jumped into this market, bringing in their name all the big brands, 3D printing brands. They all started to bring products into the market. So many dental labs who were labs, I mean, they were not aligner companies, they were labs who were doing veneers and crowns and dentures and all that stuff. They put up a 3D printer and they started their own aligner manufacturing as well. So, and branded, some were non-branded, some were branded, but still at a homegrown industry, aligner industry started to build up over the past 6 7 years. And COVID really saw some really acceleration into this area. Post COVID, I would say it was an onslaught. Post COVID, it was an onslaught of local brands from different labs being popped up, both direct to customer or direct to doctor as well. And there was no line. It could go to orthodontist. It can go to GPs as well. So everybody was doing it because it was easy, and that is where was a point where Aqualiner also jumped into the market. They also came into play post COVID, and then yeah, the rest is history. They kept on moving and they kept on moving.
So
So right now in the market, at least 10, 15 brands are competing. Two to three multinational brands, Invisalign, Spar, Clear Correct. The rest are all local or regional.
and how do you see, and I think we'll come into Aqua's journey as well, but if you think of like how, what's the kind of differentiation apart from price, that the local labs are offering, and how does the, like, what do consumers opt for, like, is, like, we know that Invisalign is very good at direct to consumer marketing, but it's a B2B
Mm,
product. So
mm.
are the local labs, do you see that now it's kind of more awareness around, yes, you can buy it from your local lab partners as well? versus just Invisalign? Is there more awareness that you see, and what is the differentiation between local and the multinational players that you see?
No, awareness is very high now. Awareness is very high now in terms of clinics. Every clinic know what aligner is, and every clinic is promoting aligners very aggressively within their practice and in terms of their social media campaigns and everything. So a lot of aligner campaigns are being run by clinics to attract patients, and with this, patients obviously also know a lot about aligners as well. Now the choice is more because in previously it was the big multinational brands. Obviously they had their big presence, they had the entire team, a lot of marketing muscle was being dollars were being pumped in, so obviously they created a brand. The difference I would say between the local and the international, the locals are still, and that's where how we differentiated Aqua. I'll come to that in the same pathway. The local brands are still considered as a lab brand, so a lab which is already servicing their clinic, they're making their dentures or crowns and bridges or implants or whatever. Now they added another thing into the basket, which is an aligner. So if a clinic is comfortable or making dentures with them or crowns with them, they can make an aligners with them. But what they failed to do is, and what we saw the gap in the market for Aqua was support, customer service, clinical support. I mean, because aligners is a very customer support intensive business. The customer remains with you, both the customers, the patient and the doctor, they will remain with you for the entire tenure of that treatment happening, be it 12 months, 18 months, 6 months, or whatsoever. There will be a constant back and forth communication happening. There will be a constant back and forth discussion happening on treatment planning. At the start of the case, somewhere during the middle of the case, somewhere towards the end of the case. So communication is very strong, and that's where the big guys are winning on it, because their communication is very strong. They keep uh, the doctor hooked onto them in terms of customer service. And when I mean customer service, it's further split into two parts. There's a customer service that, okay, where's my order, where is my shipment and all that stuff. But the second most important part, I think the most important part, is the clinical support. Clinical support is where the doctor needs a good, thorough discussion on his treatment planning. Before he starts the case, he will discuss with you. He will tell you, is it worthy to do an aligner with this case? Then you, as a company, have the responsibility to tell you it's good or it's not. And then throughout the journey, there are numerous discussions happening on the cases in terms of clinical. So establishing a clinical support department, that is very important, which the local labs missed out on. Local labs were just producing and sending without any support. And this is where we differentiated Aqua from. First of all, Aqua is not a lab. So when I took over Aqua, um, it was perceived as a lab in the market, although we were not a lab. We were only producing aligners. We were not doing anything else. So it was perceived as a lab in the market. So we had to change this narrative. We have to build this narrative in the market that we are an aligner manufacturing company with expertise only in aligners. We're not a lab. So this, changes a lot of perception in the dentist's mind. I mean, taking a dentist perceives you as a lab is very different from him looking at you as an aligner company. So this changed. So this narrative was rolled out through our all communications, from sales teams to clinical to wherever, if whoever I was meeting, whatever discussions we were going to, we were saying we're not a lab, we're not a lab. So it started to register. It started to register in the market. So okay, so this is a serious player in the aligner business. They're aligner experts. And the second thing is that I established was a clinical support department. So we had a clinical support, we hired a clinical support specialist, and she is almost the entire day engaged with doctors on different discussions which are required in terms of treatment planning, case planning, mid-course corrections, refinements, retainers, whatever is required. So the doctor feels very comfortable talking to you. He knows that he's talking to a company who knows what they're doing, and they will just not ship me a box of aligners and run away, and then I'll be left in the dark. So the support and hand holding is very important in this business, and that's how the bigger players are doing it. And they have big teams. They have big teams. Obviously, we are a small player, but the department is there, and we're servicing the customer.
Yeah. No, I think thanks for explaining that. And I think it's more operational differentiation, which is customer service and other things that you were
Yeah.
talking about. So I think if you just break it down, right? One of the things when we talk to some of our clients who are labs, irrespective of which geography they're coming from,
Mhm.
one of the things
Mhm.
that we talk about is that yes, there are some advantages of the multinational brands, versus the local labs. And you see a lot of labs who are offering now aligners as well. And you
Yeah,
mentioned that one of
yeah,
the differentiation is how you are treating that as an aligner business unit or a business in itself versus just an additional product in your portfolio of a lab. And that's where
correct,
the differentiation is. uh,
correct.
did the name, and I think one thing that I want to ask is that, like, you calling it aqua aligners, did that kind of project a business, aligner business as a name versus saying Aqua Labs Limited or something like that? Was that a conscious effort around calling it pure aligners rather than calling it the default lab as a name? Was that something that you like, or you did the founding team had consciously thought of? Because, like, were you thinking of customer service that the people need to see you as just pure brand of aligners?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I presume that the founding team, the team that was before me, looked at it as a different business perspective, because the parent company for Aqua is Syntrex. Syntrex is also into 3D printing, 3D printing for the labs. So we are metal printing and titanium milling and all this stuff. So we're not a lab. We are a service provider to the lab. So we are doing the pre-work for the lab. So they were Syntrex is a famous brand name in the market. People know Syntrex, that they are the 3D printers, the dental 3D printers. So, I mean, putting Syntrex aligners would have really, merged everything together, and you could not have come out and stood out as an aligner, as an aligner brand. So that's why a separate name was coined out and a separate identity was created. And the entire year, 2024, we invested heavily on building up that brand equity for Aqua Liner on all social medias, on different types of online and offline platforms that we start working on, so that Syntrix is the parent company. It should be there. It's there. People know, they don't know, doesn't matter. People should know Aqua.
Yeah.
That's more important. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we have seen that in some of our clients as well, that there is a holding company or the parent lab company, but they spin
Yeah.
out an aligner brand, which is a business unit structurally,
Yes.
but to the
Yeah.
customers, it's an aligner brand, and they expect the
Mm.
same level of customer service, like you mentioned, like they would get from Invisalign or other MNC brands. So, also, there's another
Exactly.
thing that, when we were talking about local, and I think that's the reason why I'm kind of drilling into this local versus multinational, is that because we see so many local labs who are coming up, who are offering same quality products, and are
Mm.
trying to kind of learn from the template of these multinationals, but offer that at a local service level. One of the
Mm.
feedback that we get from the market for the labs is that, people prefer, so the dentists already have a working relationship with their lab, right? Now, if
Yeah.
that lab is
Yeah.
offering aligners as well, as you mentioned, that there is a continuous engagement that the dentists expect throughout the treatment. And
Mm.
rather than me having a lab which is in Costa Rica or US or somewhere else in the world, it's better for
Mm.
me to have someone locally who is also doing good quality aligners as well.
Mm.
Do you hear that as well from your customers, that, oh, we would love to work with you because you are accessible in a way? I can lift phone, I can drive to you, or you can come to my office and then talk to me as well. Is there more trust in someone that is accessible versus a global brand, which is only available through, kind of calls and other kind of mechanisms? Is that something that you hear in the field as well?
We hear that in the field. Yes, see, global brands have already created a trust, regardless if they're manufactured in Greenland. They already have a trust in the market, right? So people will still trust them, and people will still trust them in delivering top-notch services. Yeah, but where we differentiate ourselves is what you said. We are more accessible. You can give me a call. You can give me a call. You can give me my team's call. Anybody can come and visit you if you're having any problem. And there have been times where we've gone to the clinic to discuss a live case with the doctor, with the patient over there, with the patient, where the doctor was struggling to, not struggling, he needed some expert advice as well, or probably he needed a team to support himself in terms of getting this patient onboarded. So we went there, we saw the cases, we onboarded the patient together. So this is accessible. So accessibility is there. Speed to market. We are promising. No, we are promising, yeah, within 2 days you get a treatment plan done from our side. We'll give you the treatment plan. Once the treatment plan is approved, if you approve it on the same day, within the next 3 days, the case will be delivered to you. So all in all, everything is, if it's going smoothly and there's no modifications happening in the plan and doctor does not need to change anything, patient agrees on the same time, everything can be delivered in one working week
Nice.
to the clinic, which is nearly impossible for the international branch to do that, which is nearly impossible because they're taking 20-25 days. They have their own reasons for that, but that's what it is. So this is where we are playing the game, and that's how we're entering. Plus, we have other services. I mean, we have a driver who's constantly circling around the city, picking up impressions, delivering cases. So anytime if there's an urgent case, we send the driver first go to that clinic, then go to that clinic. So there's so many local operational efficiencies, I would say, and services that we extend out to the clinic, which makes us different from the market. Now, I'm not saying not the other local brands are doing. Probably the other local brands are also doing because they're all situated in the same city. But like again, there are labs. They have different priorities. Their driver might be, delivering crowns and bridges. Then he'll go to the aligner patient. For us, aligner is the bread and butter. Or whatever you're doing is the aligner. So and this is what we tell every customer: you come with us, you'll be happy because the service will be very top notch.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's an
Yeah.
interesting distinction because you don't see. Again, I'm not that much sure about how Invisalign is delivering their aligners, but obviously they're not sending Invisalign delivery person
Yeah.
who is so there is that accessibility in all the touch
Yes.
points. I would say
Yeah.
on the supply chain of the aligners as well. That differentiates the local
Yeah.
labs.
So all our big customers know my driver as well by face and by name.
I hope
So that's the
they have the
level.
WhatsApp
Yeah. That's
number
it.
as well.
Yeah. 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 They have the WhatsApp numbers. So that's the level of
Yeah.
close services and prompt services that we're
And I
offering.
think that's also more cultural as well. You won't see that happening in US or UK or kind of the Western markets. I think it's very much like
Yeah.
the Middle East, the MENA region or the Indian subcontinent side of things. That's where you
Hmm.
see that kind of on ground point to point delivery options available as well. Whereas I think in most of
Yeah.
the Western markets, you see kind of a degree of separation. And I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
something. Do you see that as well in terms of how Middle East is different from the rest of the markets that you would have studied or worked with?
No, it is. I mean, Middle East, all this entire region, the culture is very, I mean, one-to-one relationship, human to human. If you're successful in creating those relationships with your customers, then you're in a good zone. The farther you are, if you're just talking on WhatsApps or just portals and chats and bots replying, then it's okay. I mean, that's the new world, but you won't get that closeness or the very solid relationship. So it's all about one-to-one relationship, at least with the bigger accounts, the key accounts that you're maintaining, and with every new customer that you bring in. So once a new customer brings in, we have an onboarding session, which is a one-to-one session, either on Zoom if it's not accessible, or we can go to the clinic and do the onboarding as well. So the more personalized services you give, till the time you can give it, obviously there's a capacity. If for more personalization, you need more team members, you need more people to do that. But till the time you can give, you'll be in a good position to manage your customers. And yes, it's cultural. It's very cultural in this part of the
I
world.
think it's an
Yeah,
expectation from the customers as well that the
they
fast
they feel
delivery.
very happy. Yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes 24 hours delivery we have done.
Wow. During peak
Yeah,
times,
I
is it
mean, it's
peak times or?
during peak times the patient is traveling. I mean, Dubai, you have a lot of travelers as well,
Yeah.
so patients are either coming in or going out, so we get a lot of requests that the patient is his flight is tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, just delivered to me in the morning, so we do that. And if sometimes this happens and we could not do that, we ship it to the customer's
Destination.
place internationally. Yeah,
That's brilliant. That's great. And I think that's the extra level of service where,
exactly.
the I would say the small businesses have an edge over the MNCs. You can't expect Invisalign or someone else. I don't know. I'm just naming one brand, but I'm assuming bigger. They have protocols, they
Yeah,
have compliance. They can't just do everything. And I think there's a lot of bureaucracy in getting things
a
approved
lot.
versus my client is
Yes.
more personalized relationship with the dentist that you will have.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I think Dr. Sal, if we shift gears, and I think let's go deep into Aqua's journey, and I think
Hmm.
one of the things what I'm trying to kind of get out of this maybe the next few minutes is to understand. the time when you joined Aqua, and
Hmm.
like how you have grown the brand. And I think 2023 and 4 were pivotal for the brand as well. And there was a lot of marketing activity, brand building, obviously
Mm.
customer service that you touched upon, the two angles of
Mm.
customer service that you're providing. So can you walk us through? And I'm just thinking that this could be a kind of a learning lesson for someone who they're listening, in terms of the insights of like in general operating a business, but also specifically on the clear aligner side of it. And this is again global kind of side of things. So I think a lot of these things are transferable across different regions globally as well. So just if you were to, let's say, go on a mentorship call, and there is someone that you're talking to, what experience would you share for the last, I would say, 15-18 months, that someone can, there are pitfalls that someone can avoid, or kind of things that they should be looking out for.
Yeah, so when I took over the brand, when I took over Aqua after, I mean, let's say a couple of weeks of assessing what's happening in the market, so I looked at some gaps that we needed to put into Aqua. Three areas that we wanted to develop. One was obviously the team, which I already told you, the clinical support, the customer support, and a sales team in the market, more feet on the ground. So that was invested into. So the company invested into developing this area. So we got more manpower in the market. So we had more people to knock more doors and open more doors for Aqua. And the second part was to develop the technology background, the portals, the planning softwares, whatever we were doing. I mean, we were doing okay in the past, but it was built on, the portal was I think, those homemade sort of portals where you can just submit and do all the steps. So it was not a very live portal, not a talking portal, not something that we could manage so many things. So that's where you guys came into the picture, Smile Genius. And we onboarded Smile Genius, I think last year, February, I think we onboarded Smile Genius into Aqua, where we started. And that completely changed the entire outlook of the brand in the market. The previous portal was not even Aqua branded. The previous portal was Syntrex branded, the parent company branded. So we changed the portal. We white labeled it. It came as an Aqua Aligner portal by Smile Genius. And that portal helped us a lot in conversion of new dentists in the market. So the portal is now our mainstay. It's like a mini CRM for us as well. It's a mini database for us as well, and it's also one of the selling tools in the market. It's also helping us selling Aqua in the market. So this is a portal. We have a patient monitoring app. Now we've launched the doctor's app. So all these things which are coming in as new product updates, it's really helping the brand to grow, because now people see it as a very, I mean, it's a good brand. They now see us as a good brand. Before that, the brand was, Aqua was always there. Aqua was there since the last 4 or 5 years, but it was not being pushed as an Aqua liner brand. It was just okay. It's moving. It's moving. They were relying on one, two big customers. So that's why, and obviously there was no marketing happening on this front. So the brand building took us a good time. So the second thing that we invested on. So again, coming back to technology, so Smile Genius, which helped us a lot, and the treatment planning software, which is Soft Smile. I mean, I'll say the name because it's a good. Their team helped us a lot, and it's a good software, which was also a game changer. Before that, we were using an old software with old technology, PDFs and videos and all that stuff. Soft Smile has a very nice interface. You can move around viewers and can be seen on WhatsApp. You can put it on an app, everything. So that helped us in integrating Smile Genius, and Soft Smile integration was probably the one of the biggest steps that we took in 2024, which pushed us to a next level of aligner business in the market. And then the third thing was go heavy on brand building, all social media pages, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. The website is under production right now, so the website will also. Aqualiner did not have its own website, so the website is also under production right now. So there were a lot of basics being missed. Operationally, the company was very nice. The operations, the back end, things were moving very fast. But the front end, that which gives you conversion, nobody cares how the liners are produced. Everybody cares what you look at, how you look and feel in the market. So that is which I convinced the board to, invest in these areas, which invested in these three areas, which gave us a lot of traction in the market. Just to give you some numbers, I mean, the Aqua Liner brand was heavily relying on one customer, which was producing like 78% of sales, and the rest was coming from the other customer. Now, that customer is a white label customer as well. I'll not be taking names here. Our focus was this year was not to touch that customer, let them grow how they're growing themselves. We have to push the other customers, the other market, open more customers, and get more customers on board. So we grew in the other customer segment by 41% this year. 41% this year in terms of cases, in terms of dirham value as well. And by the end of 2024, which was previously 80-20, the split of sales, now this year is 64-36. So we have jumped from 20% to 36, which is the other. So the point was to reduce our reliance on this big customer and produce a bigger customer database. So that's Smile Genius, portals, Soft Smile, heavy branding, clinical, sales, customer support. All these things were kicked into this in this year, and which has brought us results.
No, that's great. And I think,
So
Arsan, thanks
yeah,
for calling that out. And I think I'll just drill down into just the macro side of things, right? Let's say I remember that when we were talking initially, I think you were thinking of those big, I would say, strategic elements within the business that you needed to pitch to the board to look into. And
yeah,
so, yes, I think there were three areas that you talked about. So, one is team, focus on investing in team, technology, and then the third was brand and marketing and sales,
yeah.
if I can call it that. So, uh, if we start with technology, and I think first of all, thanks for calling it out, and I know that how
Mm,
important it is. A lot of times when we talk to the labs, it's usually the focus heavily by the nature of the business is on the production, on the behind the
mm,
scenes, what's happening and efficiency and all that. One of the things that they miss out, which the multinationals, because we were talking about that, is on how you're projecting yourself, which is also part of the brand. Your portals, your
yes,
technology is
yeah,
also
yeah,
perceived, and that demand kind of obviously your pricing are reflection of your brand. Do they see
yes.
that? So when you were sitting, I'm just thinking that what were the gaps that you were thinking of, like technology, treatment planning, or portals? It's something that, and even marketing. It's very much like soft, initially intangible. Now looking back, you can connect the dots and said that, oh, you were courageous enough to pitch those strategic elements to the board. But at that
Yeah.
time, like, what was your kind of pitch to the board why you should be switching your treatment planning, your portals, or invest in those areas that you mentioned? Like, what I'm just thinking that there would be a lot of labs in multiple regions of the world, not just in Middle East, or businesses who are stuck in the similar situation, and they might be looking at, oh, how can I grow my business? So what was the learning, if you look back now?
See, like you correctly said it. I mean, the portals and stuff are also part of your brand. So they're also the front face. So that's also branding. So what the pitch was simple. See, what we had was all Syntrex branded, very old style portal, a very old style treatment planning software. Companies have gone far onto that. That was, I mean, if it was 6 years back, it was okay. Now, in the last 2, 3 years, with all this advent of so many things, uh, brands have gone so far into it. I mean, look, I mean, Invisalign's ClinCheck, their portal is branded itself as a brand, ClinCheck, and people call it ClinCheck. Nobody says Invisalign portal; they call it ClinCheck, ClinCheck, ClinCheck. So that's beautiful marketing. So that's a very beautiful marketing that they've done. So that is where we were. I mean, the benchmark for all aligner companies, to be honest, is always Invisalign, right? For all coming brands, is always Invisalign, and they like to see where Invisalign is going, and people try to follow that. Because they're setting up benchmarks, they're the leaders in the market. So for us, I mean, if we had to move to a next level of things, we had to, change the entire technology platform, have a very fresh new look in the market. Otherwise, we could not have got this 41% growth that we're talking about. I spoke to some old users, which were old users, and they said, if you're coming back with me with the same old treatment planning and the same old portal, I'll not use you.
Mm.
If you have something new, then come to me. I said, okay. So he was very honest and brutal. So yeah, so that was very important. So I mean, and the board happily agreed on that. They understood you had to create a scenario in front of them. You have to show them comparisons, and they agreed on that.
Brilliant. No, I think it's good to know, because I think now you have numbers or a case study that you can go back to, But at that time,
Yeah,
obviously, it's more like it's a courage, and it's more like
it's a
you have to be strong and believe in what you're pitching to the board.
yeah, it's a courage because obviously it's investment coming in.
Yeah.
They're investing in it, so they need to see the results. If you remember, the same time that we were discussing Smile Genius, the previous team was also discussing producing their own in-house portal, a new in-house portal, which I sat in my initial days. I sat on those meetings and I could not see that it's going to go anywhere. It was just these guys were not just understanding anything. So that project was killed. The bill was quite heavy, although it was not a cheap product. So we killed that project at that point in time. And the plug-and-play system that we have from Smile Genius, that's helping us a lot as well. I mean, there's no upfront big investment to be done. That investment, if we put on a portal development, we moved it into marketing, and for you, it's just plug and play. We pay as we go.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think thanks for covering that, and that's a nice pitch for us as well. So it's a good one.
Yeah, resource optimization. So I had a budget, so I needed to know how to manage that. So I found the most suitable ways to do it.
Yeah, no, I think thanks for covering that. So
Yeah.
Arsalan, if we look at where you are now and where, like, what are the key things that, and like, I'm just thinking not just Aqua, but if you see what are the next steps, or like what are the objectives and aims for Aqua, and obviously without
Mm.
disclosing any kind of proprietary information or any other things, but I think in general, where do you see your brand going, Aqua? What are the next big steps that you're looking at where you want to make 2025 much better than 2024 and the numbers that you had shared with us as well?
Mm. Heavily looking into market expansion step out of UAEs, because right now we are only a UAE brand. So stepping out of UAE into the neighboring countries, into the bigger Middle Eastern region, and probably outside as well, if possible, going beyond the Middle East as well. We already have signed contracts with some other GCC countries, so cases have started to come in already. But we are looking aggressively into expanding into the other bigger markets. So that will take a lot of time and effort because expansion takes time and expansion takes a lot of effort. But if and then what we are other also looking at is white labeling, because we also offer white label services. Syntrex as a company, so it's not Aqua Aligner. Aqua Aligner is our brand. But if you want us to create a white label for yourself, Syntrex will create it for you. We have white label customers within UAE. We are doing white labeling for them, and some very big customers. So if you need a white label production, white label support from A to Z, from everything, we'll create that for you. So because we are offering for some labs, you're doing white label treatment planning at the moment. For some customers, we're doing a complete branded, even from packaging to designing to everything we are doing for them. And for some we are doing a mix, so they do some part, we do some parts. I mean, we produce, we ship it to them, they pack and they ship it to the
Mm.
customers. So there's various ways of white labeling services that are on the menu card, and we offer everything. Whatever you need to do, you can pick and choose from the menu and we can deliver that to you. So white labeling will expand definitely.
Yeah, and this is on
Both of
top
these
of,
things will expand.
obviously, you touched upon the excellence in customer service, quality of
Yeah.
production, delivery, 24/7 delivery options that you have
Yeah.
with the speed
Yeah.
dial of the delivery person, and on top of that, the
Yeah.
white labeling. So, Aslan, just quickly, if
Yes.
we talk about white labeling is a very important differentiator for the players as well, and it is a bit expensive to manage as well, especially for the manufacturers like yourself who are printing things and packaging things, and much easier for software companies like us, obviously, and
Mm.
there's more
Mm.
regular white labeling efforts for you. And when we look at other industries, white labeling usually exists at a grocery chain retail, such as Tesco's would have their own white label. You don't see that at
Yeah.
a direct to consumer level, or let's say the consumer level, right?
Yeah.
In your case and in general labs, and when I'm not saying it's not just Aqua, I'm just saying in general, like, where do you see that why the white labeling has taken off so much, as in, like, most of the labs want to offer that, and is there a demand side that's asking for white label all the time when you go out to the market?
The white label, if you're talking about this region, it's coming up. It's not as strong as North America or Europe because their white labeling is happening in big numbers. I think it's how the aligner industry has evolved region by region. Obviously, aligners are the biggest in USA. So the more the customer, the more the awareness, the more people who want to jump in to build their own brands. So because they see that it's I'll build my own brand, I'll bring my own brand equity, and I'll do that. And now this is transforming into this region as well. Bigger clinics see that if I make my own brand, because my clinic is my brand as well. So if I offer my branded aligners, I mean, I have this pool of customers, I have these number of branches in the market. If I offer my own brand of aligners, I'll be able to probably gain more market share and get more. And obviously the cost factor. I mean, white labeling your own is considerably economical than buying a branded aligner from the market. So the financial economics come into play, the branding part comes into play, customer loyalty comes into play. So it's building in this market. In the Middle East, it's not very heavy white labeling. Very few customers are there. Very few people are even offering white labeling. I think we are UE. I think we are the only ones who are doing white labeling. I don't know if any other customer is doing that. Uh, but as more and more aligner companies come in, more awareness happens. White label will also shoot up.
Brilliant. Great.
So it's just the evolution of the market.
And I think it's Middle East is still catching up, as you were saying, right? So they're still catching up. And is that on the demand side or the choices that are available? Like, are people or the dentists saying that yes, my patients are asking for aligners? Is that and that's what is kind of going that into the numbers that you were talking about? Like, has the demand increased over the last few years from the market?
The demand has definitely increased over the last few years. Like I said in the beginning, the clinics are, if you go into social media of clinics, the amount of money they're spending on aligner advertisement is far much than they're spending on veneers or any other
Yeah.
treatment right now. So very heavy campaigns are being run by clinics on aligners, which is obviously creating demand for more patients who come in and do aligners. Now, if the clinic becomes big and they see they're getting good enough numbers and they can sustain those numbers, they'll probably move to a white label
Brand.
solution.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. Um, Asan, where do you see, like, I think if you were to leave parting thoughts for this episode that we did, like for the businesses that are coming up, and I know that you do offer a lot of advice to startups and you are very active in that scene as well. So
Yeah.
what are your parting thoughts for, let's say, young businesses or entrepreneurs who are starting their journey into aligners per se, obviously not competing with Aqua, but let's say in other regions? um,
Hmm.
like what are the things that they should be cautious about in the first few years of their journey, and what are the key things that they should be focusing on to fast track their progress as an entrepreneur?
Um, I think the team is very important. The team that you deploy in the market, the sales team, the support team. I mean, more than the sales team, support team is very important in the aligner business. Sales is always there. I'm nothing degrading the sales guys. They're very important as well. But the clinical support and the customer support, if the companies are able to crack that code and they're able to give a good clinical support to their aligner brand to the market, this will create a lot of trust and credibility. The more trust and credibility your brand creates in the market, you'll start gaining traction and you start getting more and more cases. So that is number one. Number two, from probably the production side, make sure that your the machines that you're using are good. Because I mean, we did not touch production in this podcast because aligner production is also it's a tricky game to manage. What type of 3D models you're printing, how refine out those 3D models, because what type of sheets you're making, how are you trimming those sheets. So there's so many minute things, which frankly I got an exposure while working as an MD of Aqua. Before that, I did not know the production side of things or the operation side of things. So that is also very important to look into. And plus, the most important, always know your customers, speak to your customers. The customers are the best answer to any marketing strategy. What I've seen in a lot of startups, and not only aligner industries, I move around with other startups. I mean, they've made a MVP or a product, an idea. They like it so much that they forget to think about if the customer will like it or not. So you need to step out. You need to step out and talk to your customers. If this is what I mean, even in aligner, he can come with any differentiating factor which nobody has in the market, but he needs to test that, or they need to test that. So speak to your customers, be out in the market. No, Office is okay, but you have to stay out. For me, 3 days are in the market, 2 days in the office.
Wow.
And I move around with the team. I go to big accounts myself. I do meetings one on one myself. Otherwise, I'm with the team and moving around in the market.
Oh, nice. So I think get outside
Yeah.
of your office and be as close to your prospects and customers as possible.
Definitely. And this holds true for at any level of the company. Startups, definitely, because your product is not out there. Nobody knows you. People will buy from you, not from your brand. So you as a founder or you as some top position, you have to be out there. So you have to create your own personal trust. But even when the business matures, you have to be out there because things change dramatically, which you don't know. The bigger the company, you won't know what the change is happening underground.
Yeah.
The smaller the companies, you'll still face the changes in front. But if it's a bigger company, the changes by the time they come to the top,
Yeah.
changes have happened.
Changes have happened.
Yeah, yeah, changes have already happened, so it becomes difficult to grasp. So customers being out there in the market is very important.
Brilliant. That's a really good
Yeah,
insight, Arsalan. I think we hear about that, but I think it's all kind of practicing that rather than just reading about it. That's the most important thing. So, I think Arsalan,
yeah.
let's wrap it up. I think thank you for the time
Thank
that
you.
you have given outside your busy schedule to kind of share insights openly as well. And I think I hope that there is a lot of kind of insights and learnings and tactics that a lot of businesses can learn and adopt in their own regions or in their own companies, not just aligners, could be labs, could be any other areas as well. So I just want to thank
Hmm.
you for taking out time and speaking on this 4D podcast and sharing openly about your journey in the industry and aligners as well.
Thank you, Nipin. Thank you so much for this conversation. I hope this will ring some bells when whoever listens to it. This will work out. And plus, it's a aligner industry is a small industry. Dentistry is a small industry. Aligner in itself inside dentistry is a small industry. So everybody's connected here and there. So it's good that these companies they collaborate rather than they compete. Competition will always be there, but collaboration brings more power. Collaboration can be in at any level. So like we do with you, we give you very honest feedback on your portals and on your products. And I've seen the growth of Smile Genius as well, from where you guys started, and now how many new features have been added. And I hope our feedback means something to you as well, which is honest. And again, it's coming from the
Yeah,
market. Whatever the customer is facing, we bounce it back to you.
yeah.
So it and it's and your team is very responsive, and they respond and they make changes whenever it's possible. So I hope, and that's how you collaborate and you grow.
Well, thanks for calling that out, Arslan. So
Yeah.
thank you. I'll let you
Thank you.
go. And yeah, great. And I think looking forward to 2025.
Looking forward to 2025. Thank you, Nipun. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arslan.